Hello and welcome to another episode of Comic Breakers, where we break down and review all the latest and greatest in comic book movies and television. I am your first host, Nolan Vinoy.
And I am your second host, Brian Stork? Is that what it is?
I think that's your last name.
Oh,
if I remember correctly, that is your last name.
Okay, that's good.
Now,
that's
are
good.
you named after the famed bird?
I am. So you know how there's like Robin, right?
Yeah.
It's not that. It's a family name.
Okay, so it's
It's unrelated to
unrelated to the
It's
bird.
just a family name.
That's lame.
Yeah.
All right, so this week we're gonna start off talk one piece of little news that'll be we're not gonna talk about it for super long, but it's cool. So Warner Brothers has confirmed that there is a Batgirl project and a Zatanna project in the works. Yeah.
So two separate projects.
I think it was two separate projects.
So
yeah.
Batgirl's been happening for a while. It used to be Joss Whedon, and then we all realized that was a terrible idea. And now it's, do we know who any of the creatives are on it? Or is it just like another Warner Brothers, like, quote unquote, happening project?
Quote unquote, definitely
like
happening, not gonna get canceled.
Yeah,
next year.
The eternally happening Justice League Dark movie. And aren't they doing like a Justice League Dark universe for like HBO Max or something?
Way back in like 2016, they were gonna do a Justice League Dark movie.
Yeah.
And Guillermo del Toro was attached to it, but he's always making 13 different things, and only one of them actually comes to fruition. So that's not a thing. I think because J.J. Abrams has a huge Warner Brothers deal now. I know he's doing a Superman movie now. Because he is co-writing it with Ta-Nehisi Coates, and it's going to be Black Superman. Because they've been trying to get Michael Jordan to play the role for feels like ever now.
Okay, I'm still in a place where you have to say Michael B. Jordan.
Did I just say Michael Jordan?
Michael Jordan. They've been trying to get Michael Jordan to do it for a while now.
That would have been super sick, though.
It would have been pretty good.
No, Michael B. Jordan. They're trying to get Michael B. Jordan to play the role.
Which is great.
Which would be great. And I think you can tell some super interesting stories. You put Superman in a new light that he hasn't been on screen and on television ever before. But I think J.J. Abrams was going to do a Justice League Dark movie.
I know they're working on a revamped Swamp Thing. I think a new Constantine thing.
Yes, that is a thing, yeah.
And I think there's supposed to be like a connected. I wonder if Zatanna is going to be involved in that.
Yeah, probably.
She's like the most high-profile member of that team.
I don't really know much about Zatanna.
I love Zatanna.
Can you tell me about Zatanna?
Okay, Zatanna is a stage magician. She's the daughter of Zatara, who is a Justice Society, like 1940s superhero. He's a ripoff of some other magician characters from the past. In the comics, she's like Batman's probably best friend, who isn't like Superman or Commissioner Gordon or anything.
Batman has friends?
He's got about 4. She's his best friend who doesn't have Bat in her name, and is also not Superman or anything. She's really cool. Her whole magic deal is that all of her spells, she just says the words backwards, which is great.
Oh, that's kind of fun.
I like that a lot. It's also fun because she's not inherently great at saying the words backwards. So when she's first starting out, she has to prepare the spells so that she can say the shit backwards.
It doesn't sound like, I guess she's probably very powerful, but it sounds like she really needs to have preparation before she can go into a battle.
Yeah, she's not a Dr. Fate who can come in and just do, who can invert the universe or whatever if she wants to. She's a more street level magic character who can do incredible things, but she has to prep to do that stuff.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense. And I know with the Constantine thing, they are recasting Constantine.
Are they bringing back Keanu? Are they bringing back Keanu?
That'd be fucking sick, but I doubt it. I highly doubt it.
Almost certainly not. Yeah.
I bet they can't afford him because I think it's an HBO Max show.
Yeah.
I wonder, because they're doing with the Matt Reeves Batman movie, they're doing a Gotham PD HBO Max show, and I wonder if that'll tie into any of this.
That would be cool.
I feel like because I bet that's set in the same universe as the Robert Pattinson movie.
Yeah.
And I think that is a definitely not supernatural.
No, haven't they even said it's Earth 1 and Earth 2 or whatever? And it's the Robert Pattinson Batman and whatever Gotham PD is, and then the separate universe where it's the Ezra Miller Flash, and
okay, yeah.
Michael Keaton might be stepping in to like
No, he is.
do
He was,
the
like, that's
Batman
very-
but like to like continue on as the Batman of that universe.
That's kind of sick.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I wonder if they'll eventually go to a Batman Beyond because of Michael Keaton's age.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I want to see Batman Beyond.
Also, Ben Affleck is in the Flash movie too.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean...
Well, I'm all about it.
Yeah.
And I bet we'll see one shot where it's Robert Pattinson Batman, like looking up at a red sky or something.
Right,
Like
yeah.
it's like the thing with Crisis on Infinite Earths, the CW thing, where they brought in a ton of people to just look at the sky for 5 seconds, and then
there was that guy. I think he was one of the newspaper guys.
Yeah,
yeah. And he was very brief.
the one who asks what Batman takes home after taxes or whatever.
Yeah.
In
that
Batman
one.
'89.
Yeah. If they're okay, so this Batgirl.
Yeah.
I hope it's a movie.
It should be a movie.
Yeah, I think that character, Batman and Robin, doesn't count. Has never been explored and is a character that deserves to have a movie. You know,
and even like some of the high profile, like animated iterations of Batgirl, which are great, also have weird things about them that don't make them entirely like quintessential Batgirl.
Right.
Like the DC animated universe Batgirl is in a weird relationship with Batman.
Well, the same with that weird Killing Joke.
The Killing Joke thing is rough.
Yeah. I saw that in theaters like the one night
Me
that
too,
it played
me
in
too.
theaters, and I was just like watching it and I was like, this is wrong. This is not correct.
It's and so I think a really good adaptation of like Batgirl Year One would be amazing. But you
that would be
can't
super
but
cool.
you have to have an established Batman and Robin for that to work.
Right, yeah, you can't be also setting up that.
Yeah, that's
So
why like shit like Suicide Squad doesn't work, because you have to have an established Justice League before you can start doing the weirder stuff that like branches off of it.
Suicide Squad is essentially like trying to... I remember people at the time were like, it's DC's Guardians of the Galaxy, but it's like, no, because these characters are inextricably tied to characters that we haven't seen enough yet to actually do.
Well, and it's also
properly.
there's that thing that's like, I don't remember where it originated from, but saying the chain of DCEU movies was like if you did Iron Man and then Guardians of the Galaxy and then a Civil War.
Then Civil War, yeah,
It's
no,
like,
for sure.
Anyway,
so next week is Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
hell yeah, it is.
What are we expecting? What are you expecting?
Explosions.
I'm expecting a lot of explosions.
Flying.
Yeah.
Punching and kicking, I would say.
Yeah, I bet. Well, I bet Batroc the Leaper
Hell yeah.
is gonna be back, and that guy is like mostly kicks.
I demand a Batroc the Leaper cinematic universe.
It's only George St. Pierre gets to be in it. But
I really hope they don't kill him in this show, because I know he's in the show. I really hope they don't like kill him, because I want him to be one of those guys who just keeps on coming back in different movies and just getting his ass kicked.
Right, just over. He's always like, how there's always like a fun villain at the beginning for the first 20 minutes that they gotta. Yeah, he should be that guy for all movies.
That's why all of them in general. Next Matrix reboot, Batroc the Leaper, but the new Space Jam.
all of the Avengers, the next Avengers movie, like it's just, the first scene is just them all beating Batroc's ass.
Shit out of Batroc. But I don't think the MCU has, and that's why I was so sad when they killed Claw in Black Panther.
Me too.
Because like I want this universe to be populated with more like villains who are just trying to get a paycheck and are just like trying to do their thing.
Right, they're just struggling villains.
Yeah.
Like they probably have like a kind of Alcoholics Anonymous kind of thing where they're all talking about like their financial struggles, but like
it's like that Justice League Unlimited episode where all of Flash's villains are like at the villain bar and they're just depressed.
Or Almost Got 'Em, the Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah.
That's a great episode.
Absolutely.
That was my least favorite part of Black Panther, is that they killed Claw.
Yeah, because they didn't need to.
You didn't need to, yeah. And you can also, there's so much, it's a cool character, and it's a cool, like, that's one of the best parts of Age of Ultron, with the billion things that are going on in it, is that setup for him, and the setup for Wakanda, I think is pretty dope.
But
he's Andy Serkis!
Yeah, and his SoundCloud will be forever lost to time.
Damn, he did have a SoundCloud. That was the joke they put in that movie.
And they did do that.
Wow. Anyway, what do we think Falcon and the Winter Soldier is actually really gonna be about?
So it seems like, wasn't there a thing where they had to, part of the reason it got pushed, and I think you mentioned this in the last episode, part of the reason it got pushed was because there were some plot elements that were kind of COVID-ish.
Yeah, I think there was some kind of virus-y sort of thing that the two of them had to deal with.
So the guess would probably be that there's some element of like Zemo is releasing X thing in X amount of time, and they need to like stop him. And I think there's a good chance we'll probably see like a similar thing to Civil War where Zemo has a front-facing plan and then his actual plan, which is a lot less supervillainy.
Right.
It would be my guess.
Yeah. I wonder, I think that is like probably the more likely, but I wonder, because we know we're also getting U.S. Agent, the John Walker Captain America, and Wyatt Russell is going to play him. I wonder if, and we also have the Flag Smashers too.
Ooh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I forget the girl that's in Solo and plays Enfys Nest in Solo.
Oh. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. Erin Kellyman.
Right.
Yeah, Erin Kellyman, it looks like she is playing the leader of the Flag Smashers. And so we have that. We've got Zemo. We've got Batroc the Leaper.
Of course.
And then we have U.S. Agent. And so I wonder if the actual overall antagonist of the whole series is going to be the U.S. government and U.S. Agent. Because he goes crazy. Like, isn't that the thing? Like, he gets a serum that makes him go insane.
He's insane. He has all of the power and none of the heart. It's the
Gotcha.
thing from the first Avenger where it's like good becomes great, bad becomes worse, and a person who's known power all of his life.
It like amplifies.
Yeah, he's a bully, and I think you're right. I think there's a good chance that because this version of Captain America is everything that Zemo hates about what he thinks superheroes are, right? So and I think and in this circumstance he's right, so which is interesting.
Well, I think that's the interesting thing about what they've done with Zemo. Like, Zemo in the comics is that just like these two, other than now him having the purple mask, they don't resemble each other whatsoever.
Doesn't even have a sword.
Right? Yeah, no sword. Maybe he'll get this.
I want him to get a sword.
If he gets a sword, that'd be sick. Man, I would love that.
Hell yeah.
I wonder if the overall antagonist is this U.S. agent and the U.S. government, I wonder if you actually will have Falcon and the Winter Soldier unwillingly have to work together with Zemo.
I think at least for an episode.
Yeah.
I think you want that for at least, and then it gets revealed that they're working with him. There's some security camera footage. Then they're on the run.
There's going to be at least 3 Zemo twists.
At least 3 Zemo twists, and I think at least 6 instances of security camera footage being highlighted. That's my guess.
Yeah. Can we get a zoom and enhance?
Yeah.
That's what we need, is a zoom and enhance.
I think, no, I'm really excited for this show. I don't think the marketing has been great for it in general. I think it's made it look a little bit Fast and Furious-y. Like, there's a lot of, you can tell, like, lines being cut up and, like, meshed together to form just like trailer lines and things like that.
Yeah.
But I think the show itself, like from like just clips that have been shown, looks a lot more fun.
I think it's got a Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah, they're marketing it like Hobbs and Shaw.
At least there's no The Rock, Dwayne the Pebble Johnson,
right? With
his Hawaiian warrior family. That was that was the thing in those trailers. There's not that, but what I'm certain that you're going to be right, that the show will be better than what the marketing has said, because I feel like what Marvel is trying to do is to tell these really like low to the ground stories about the characters that are much more personal, and I think there's going to be a lot of action. I've actually heard that this show has some moments where people were like, from the first episode, they were like, this is like rated R level violence.
Oh shit!
Which
really?
is like, I don't. Okay. I mean, I guess I'm cool with it.
As long as it's not who's gonna be doing the rated R violence. I guess probably U.S. Agent maybe.
Right? Yeah, U.S. Agent. I bet. I mean, Bucky. Maybe there's flashbacks.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I would be down with that.
But Noel, you're wrong.
I'm wrong?
Because this story can't be low to the ground because the wing, he has a wing on him.
He's got wings.
And he goes high up.
Red Bull? He really should get Red Bull plastered on the back of his wings.
Hey, did you notice that Redwing dies in Infinity War?
I think Redwing's coming back. Wait, really?
There's a bit.
I'm sorry.
There's
That
a
just I skated over that. And I've got to go back
there's
to
a
that.
bit. There's a bit during the Wakanda battle where Falcon fires 3 Redwings like into monsters, and they just like kind of like stab into the monsters and get like crushed up.
Damn, why wasn't there? We need to make a Redwing funeral.
Yeah, actually, where's the funeral for Redwing?
You know those fan cams and shit that you find on YouTube? We need to make a fan cam for Redwing that goes to black and white.
I think we should re-edit the funeral scene at the end of Endgame, but instead of the arc reactor, it's like
Redwing.
the mangled corpse of Redwing, and it just says ×3 under it.
Don't you love that they turned Redwing from a person into a drone?
Yeah, well, from a bird into a drone. He's not a person.
I'm pretty sure there's a version of Redwing where he's just a smaller
You know what? You're
guy.
probably right. There's just a small man named Redwing who Falcon keeps in a little satchel and throws him at enemies.
That would be great. That'd be really fun.
But of course we know the biggest piece of news from this week, from recently.
The mutants?
Yeah. Which is from a semi-reputable-ish source?
No, it's reputable.
Okay,
I mean, it's
yeah.
like it was coming. I think it was either Deadline or I think she was probably Hollywood Reporter, but
Something
then
like
all the other, slightly more clickbaity sites got a hold of it.
So
the logo was fake.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But the current like working title of the X-Men situation for the MCU is the Mutants,
Which is interesting.
Yeah. I think. What do you think of just that title on its own? That's no way that's actually going to be the title once it actually gets released. But like,
actually, it was not the Hollywood Reporter.
What was it?
The Illuminati.
Okay, so mildly.
I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it right now. I'm just gonna see what their source is. If you just gotta trace it backwards.
Right. This is happening live. We are finding out if the Illuminati is a reputable source.
So it's come from the Illuminati. They're just saying our sources.
Every time you say the word Illuminati, my confidence drops by 50%.
Now, I believe the Illuminati has broken weird leaks and stuff before.
I have heard that, and I forgot what the name of the group was that is now I know is the Illuminati, but that they have broken like reputable things in the past.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, there's guys on Twitter, like there's that guy Daniel Rickman who like for some reason knows all when it comes to Marvel. Like he knew when the Spider-Man title was gonna drop, etc. So I imagine it's true, but I wonder. Tell me, why do you think it's called the Mutants?
So here's why I actually do have a thought about this. I think that what the first X-Men movie in the MCU needs to accomplish is different from what a standard X-Men movie or a Fox X-Men movie needs to accomplish. I think that the X-Men's jumping off point in the MCU needs to also be a jumping off point for mutants as a concept and as an entity in this universe. I think it's got some hefty world responsibilities
Right.
as it's starting this thing up. I think the mutants as a group, it makes sense to me.
No, I understand that. I think because we're talking about a very established comic book concept that has not been in this overall universe, and now it has to work together with a number of other ideas. Whereas the old Foxman X-Men universe was just about mutants.
Yeah, it's
so
what do the mutants mean here?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have
thoughts.
You have a presentation.
Are we entering the Breakers portion now?
Welcome to the Breakers portion.
Oh God. So I have some thoughts about what an MCU X-Men movie could look like. So here's my first thought.
I'm also not I'm not the most versed in X-Men. I know the big stuff, but
I'm pretty well versed in X-Men. I don't know if anyone is really well versed in X-Men because it's the most convoluted.
I haven't even read House of X. So
okay, so I do know more than you. Yeah. I'm glad you brought up House of X because I think that the first X-Men movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, we'll go with the Mutants as the title, but the subtitle should be Dawn of X.
Dawn of X.
Dawn of X.
Dawn of X. Before you go into this presentation, I just had a thought.
Yes.
We have Eternals coming out I think it's in November.
Something like that. Yeah.
To me, titling the movie The Mutants feels like there might be the seed of mutant kind set up in Eternals, and it's sort of like a parallel of like we have the Eternals and we have the mutants.
Isn't there actually a thing with, I might be pulling this out of nowhere, but isn't it actually a thing that like in like the incredibly distant past of humanity, like the Eternals were semi-responsible for the creation of humanity, and that like mutants were also like part of that?
Yeah, that's definitely
a thing, right?
a thing. Yeah.
So maybe, yeah. So the central question that this X-Men movie needs to answer is, well, first off, where have all the mutants gone?
Right. And where have they been?
Where have
is that more what you're saying? Where have they been, or where?
Maybe
you're saying where have they gone?
Where'd they go? Why ain't they around?
So when were they here?
When were they here?
That's true.
Anyway, so I think you have an inherent problem when you are trying to bring the X-Men in, because the initial thought is, well, why not just have mutants develop basically now, right?
Right.
You can't exactly do that because you need Charles and Eric, and they have very specific origins.
That's exactly what I was going to say. That's like the ultimate problem with bringing the X-Men in right now, is that Eric has to have some semblance of a connection to the Holocaust.
Yes.
And Charles has to be old and British.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the question is, what have they been doing all this time?
Right.
If they knew they were mutants, and they must have known each other, because you have to have that Eric and Charles schism.
Right.
You can't just gloss over that. That's like the center of all of this.
Right.
So they had to have known they were mutants, known there were other mutants, and also sat on it until now.
Right. And they better have a damn good reason.
Right. Because it's pretty antithetical to both of their characters.
Right.
So I think I figured out a way that it could work.
I'm
gonna be reading from notes now, so I'm gonna sound like I'm reading from notes.
All right. Well, I'll interrupt you when I want to.
Excellent. Could just completely derail me, please.
Yep.
But okay, so since childhood, right? Charles Xavier.
Where did White Vision go?
He went to Charles Xavier's house.
Oh, sick.
What if? What if White Vision, like, he gets his memories back, and he does the eye shape-shifting thing, and then like he gets like forehead wrinkles, and then like the eyebrows, and then he's just Professor X.
He became Patrick Stewart.
He becomes paralyzed.
You know, if you did make WandaVision or any Vision story in the 1970s, you would cast Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. Anyway, so God, I can't stop imagining that though. Okay. So since childhood, Charles Xavier was certain that he was not alone. When he attended Oxford, he studied mutation in all its aspects. His thesis, however, on the potential existence of a Homo superior evolution of humanity was regarded with rolled eyes as science fiction. Everything changed when he met Eric Lensher, Magneto.
Mm-hmm.
Charles wanted to go public with, now that he knew that mutants was plural and not just him. But Eric, a survivor of the Nazi concentration camps, didn't believe it was time yet to reveal the existence of their people.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So instead, they begin to travel the world in search of more mutants. Cerebro doesn't exist yet.
Right.
They're searching for people who have unexplainable abilities.
Do you think Charles even knows that he could do something like Cerebro?
I don't think yet. I think that over time, he and Eric create the prototype.
Okay.
Which is generally how it works in the comics, where they build a crude Cerebro.
This is sounding a little like First Class.
And it's supposed to.
Okay.
Because none of this is what we're seeing in the movie.
Gotcha.
This is what has happened in the past.
Okay.
This is what you can be familiar enough with.
Okay.
Maybe you see a flashback to part of this, I don't know. But in general, they found that mutants were few and far between. Cerebro was relatively unreliable in locating them.
Mm-hmm.
So they could find like a few. They could find enough to warrant starting the school.
Right.
But not enough. It's not, a huge population of mutants and all of these kids at the school. It's like a small program, right?
Yeah.
It's still at the institute, and it's got the name and everything. They build the school as a safe haven and training ground for young mutants facing persecution by humans who hate and fear what they do not understand. Eric saw it as...
You just said the thing.
Yeah. Applause, please. Thank you. Every time I say hate and fear, I want you to do a little.
Okay, yeah, I can do that.
Okay. So Eric saw it as more than a school, though. He saw it as the foundation for a military force. And that this is going to evolve into the force that's going to inherit the world. Probably by force.
Gotcha, yeah. I like that.
And this creates the initial schism between Charles and Eric. I think it's really weird that we've seen so many different versions of Charles and Eric. and like how their school was started. And it's weird because they're all from the same universe.
Right.
But,
Right. Yeah.
a bunch of different versions of it.
Fox said continuity does not matter.
Yeah, and we've never seen the direct conversation of clearly they're training soldiers.
Right.
But that's not what Charles's dream is.
Right.
They should probably talk about that.
Right, yeah, they need to have a conversation.
And I think that's where that schism comes from. Okay. So Magneto disappears. Maybe he takes a couple of students with him.
Yeah. Tell me the line where the movie starts also.
Yes, okay. I will tell you. So the school continues to operate over the years, but there's never a great many students. During Vietnam, school shrinks even more. After the snap, little more than a mausoleum, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Now we're in the movie.
Okay, so this is post-snap.
This is post-snap. It's post-blip. We're back.
Okay.
We're in the quote-unquote present. Or the not-too-distant future, which is sometimes when the X-Men take place.
Someone call Bryan Singer. God.
In the not-too-distant future. La, la, la. Anyway, so...
We're going to be ripped from the airways.
Right. So our film is going to start with an explosion of new mutants developing their abilities all at once.
The new mutants?
The new mutants, but not those new mutants.
Better
new mutants. Better and newer mutants.
Gotcha. Slightly fresher mutants.
We can keep the dragon, but none of the other ones.
Yeah, that's the only thing that deserves to stay.
And I think more specifically, we're starting with Scott Summers, a teenage Scott Summers.
That is the correct thing to do.
Developing his initial powers. I think in like a Nando V Movies video or something, he talked about it happening during like a high school football game, and I think that's a great idea.
That. Yeah.
I think he's a quarterback, obviously, and his optic blasts emerge during a game. Maybe he gets tackled. Maybe like the fight or flight response triggers it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he blows a hole in like the scoreboard, that sort of thing. And everybody is freaking out and screaming.
Now, if it was a football game, the odds of him killing another...
I know, very high. Let's say he doesn't.
Okay.
Or it can be the thing of like...
He gets lucky.
Or yeah, he gets lucky. Or it can be the thing of in the comics, his optic blasts don't actually like burn you. They're like punches. They're like really powerful hits.
Okay.
They like send you flying, that sort of thing. So
no one ever talks about the like how his eye things, like the blasts, how they work.
Yeah.
It's not like just lasers.
No.
It's opening a portal to a different dimension.
We can't even begin to get into that.
Okay, we'll get into that some other day.
So his powers activate and everybody is screaming. He can't shut it off. He's like tries to like put his hands in front of his face, but just like, they just get blasted to the sides. And then suddenly the whole crowd goes silent. Everyone in the entire, like everyone watching the game, all of the players frozen solid, except for Scott. And then we get that single wheel, the wheelchair with the X wheel, rolling along the field, and we get...
How do you know?
Cerebro.
You're right. You know that tool that he uses like probably every day?
There's just like silence in the movie theater, and then one voice just goes, "How do you know about that?"
Are we gonna know that he used Cerebro, or are we gonna
we'll get an explanation of what Cerebro is in a bit, but we get so it's the professor and it's Jean, who's already a student at the school.
How old is she?
She's the same age as Scott, maybe a year older, but she's been at the Xavier School for at least a year.
Okay.
And they have an initial interaction. I'm not gonna go like dialogue or anything, but Jean can temporarily hold back his eye lasers, which is something she's usually able to do with a lot of effort. I also want to make a point of her powers need to look like something.
Yes.
I am so sick of telepaths and telekinetics looking so boring in these movies.
They just move their hand and a book. That's like half of the scenes with Jean Grey when she's not the Phoenix is just her like lifting a book and then like giving like sexy eyes to Wolverine.
Exactly. And I think it needs to look different from like Wanda and that sort of thing. I think something like Kirby dots, like those kind of bubbles that you see a lot in like those purpley kind of things, and like her eyes glowing maybe. I think you can do some cool stuff.
You know what I think?
Yeah.
If you did something like, when you're standing in a parking lot and it's really hot out and you look like in the distance and there's just that
the waves?
Yeah, the little waves.
Yeah.
Like where it's just like it's what you see in life.
Oh, just like a distortion.
But it's just a slight distortion, and like whatever she's moving or whatever changes with that kind of like distortion. Right?
I think that's cool.
That would be cool.
I think that's cool. I think Yeah, so I think that would look really interesting, especially with the fact that she's manipulating Cyclops' eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So you get kind of like a and like
Right.
his eyes like cooling down. His pupils stay red though, or his irises stay red even when they're being repressed.
Okay.
I think he should only be able to see the world through that red tint from now on. So there's the initial back and forth of what's going on, and Jean mentioning that she definitely can't keep this up forever.
Right. She's got other shit she's got to do.
Right, and also just even right now, like it's very difficult
Right.
to
Like,
repress.
I have to go to the bathroom.
Like at the like, and that's on me. To be fair,
Yeah.
I should have gone before.
Right.
But we're here.
But we're here now, and I've got to stay here.
Scott does his whole, who are you people? Cuts a title.
Yeah.
The X-Men. Things get a little bit less.
Well, no.
The
Not
Mutants.
Yet. The Mutants.
We are the Mutants. It's like a great power, great responsibility thing.
Yeah.
So then
fear.
I can't clap. Yep. So then it gets a little bit less specific. So our film is going to start with, in general, an explosion of New Mutants developing their abilities all at once. This is the first generation in which Homo Superior represents more than like 0.0000000, like 25% of the population of Earth. Suddenly they cross like the 0.01% threshold, which means like 587,000 mutants like suddenly develop their powers. Right?
Is there? And I assume the movie might be about this to some extent. Is there a reason that for some, like, everything exploded in terms of population?
And this is something that I kind of wanted to bounce around with you.
Okay, let's do it.
Because my instinct is no. My instinct is there's always a point in the development of a species where they go from there's a couple in existence, then there's a population explosion. And you get like the actual initial like, oh, now it's time.
Yeah.
That's kind of where my head goes because I don't want it to be anything that a character has done.
Yes, I agree. I 100% agree with that. It definitely cannot be that Wanda Maximoff is the mother of all mutants.
Right, because then mutants aren't naturally occurring.
I also think that it's dumb that Thanos' snap activated mutants' power. It's not dumb. I just don't think it really works for what the X-Men are.
Because then they can't be an allegory for what they need to be an allegory for.
Yeah. What I feel like would be interesting to tie it to the snap is because life became so dire for humans on Earth that evolution was spurred on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you can have that thing of like, Wanda's powers being activated by extreme stress when I think that you could definitely have a little Easter egg of like when there's actually a moment here and I can go ahead and go to it where so we're going to see through Cerebro like all of these new mutants suddenly existing and representing them as these like little red lights.
Welcome to Easter Egg Town.
Exactly. And because I think in the Bryan Singer movies, I actually really like how they visualize Cerebro, where it's like white ghosts for like people who aren't mutants and then red lights. I really like that. And I think there will actually be a moment where Charles will show this to Scott and be like, this is the world now.
Right.
And we're just seeing all these little red lights.
I think it's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult to move away. I mean, it'll be a good challenge, but I think it's going to be difficult to move away from a lot of the imagery that was created in the Fox X-Men movies.
Yeah.
So it'll be a good challenge, but it's like they really did the imagery of Cerebro, and
Cerebro just looks like Cerebro. It looks
like
good.
They nailed it.
And this explosion, this population explosion, will be referred to as the Dawn of X.
Ooh.
And it is now impossible for mutants to be a secret. Everyone knows that something has happened, that mutants are their own thing. You can't keep making up. I think it would be fun. We don't have to include this in the movie, but I think it would be fun if Fury has always known about mutants being a thing, and maybe in the past has like assisted with creating quote unquote origins for like mutants whose powers developed publicly. Like, oh, this guy actually got bitten by a radioactive aardvark or whatever, and like developed about.
So he's been making that's funny. Well, the original post-credit scene for Iron Man, they shot a version of it where he references assorted mutants and radioactive bug bites.
Really?
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is that like, does that footage exist somewhere?
Yeah, you can find it on YouTube.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'll play the audio of it. Actually, wait, no, you're the audio editor. I don't want to put that on you.
Yeah. No,
I'll play the visual of it.
Do you think we'll get? No, I guess it won't get copyright struck because it's not on the DVDs or anything like that.
No, yeah, it's just like 3 seconds.
Yeah.
As if gamma accidents, radioactive bug bites, and assorted mutants weren't enough. I have to deal with a spoiled brat who doesn't play well with others and wants to keep all his toys to himself.
Who the hell are you?
Nick Fury, director of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm here to talk to you about the Avenger Initiative.
Well, what are we avenging?
Whatever the hell we want.
Well, if you heard it, then we decided to do it. And
Yep.
if you didn't, then look it up. But so a couple of things are consequences of this Dawn of X. Prompts Charles to expand enrollment at the school, turn it into something closer to what we know from the X-Men comics. Charles shows the Cerebro view of all of these thousands of mutants to Scott, and then offers him a position on a new team, a superhero team of mutants to show humanity that they are not to be feared.
Okay.
It's directly derivative of the Avengers, going like, if we have a team like this that's out in the open, then people will see us as superheroes and not as monsters.
Okay.
And that's the birth of the X-Men.
I like that a lot.
Yeah. And at the same time, Magneto, sensing this seismic shift, is now accelerating his own recruitment drive. The mutants have arrived, and it's finally time for their brotherhood to lay claim to the world.
Now, can we avoid using the word evil mutants? Because that...
It's weird that he named himself that, isn't it? The
Isn't
Brotherhood
it?
of Evil Mutants.
Right. And it would still be strange even if Charles was like, the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Like, that's still weird.
And there's also, I think, some cool opportunities for, like, who's on that team.
I was going to ask, so we've got Scott and Jean who's chilling with Charles at the moment. Who would be...
I think it would be really cool if Rogue started out on
That would be
Magneto's
really
side.
interesting.
And, like, was more in line with kind of what we know from the comics of Rogue, where she starts out as a villain working with Mystique. I think Mystique should be there, obviously.
I do.
But I think it should be more like assassin Mystique. Like the less kind of like inhuman, like contortionist Mystique, and more and less the Jennifer Lawrence Wolverine Mystique, and more the gun-toting assassin, like very confident kind of character. Old? I think in unintelligible age. Probably somewhere in her 40s.
Oh,
maybe?
interesting.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's not what I expected.
Because she's generally like older than you would expect. I think the actual Mystique is like impossible to nail down. I don't think you actually know her age.
Right, yeah.
I also think Toad. Well, I think Toad could be a good like initial reveal of Magneto.
You know what happens to a Toad that gets struck by lightning?
The same thing that happens to everything else.
Fuck yeah.
No, I think a scene with Toad could be a fun introduction for Magneto.
Here's another note.
Yeah.
This talking about Mystique's age got me to think about this. Are we also going to say that mutants age slower? That way we can have we'll have an older Magneto, but he's like at this point Holocaust survivors are like
very
really old.
Yeah, if you have to, you could say, or it could be something about their specific mutations that make them age a little bit slower. Because I don't know about across the board.
Right, you can make up some shit about Magneto's iron in his blood is because it's metal.
That also kind of feels like it feels a little bit like Cinema Sinsy, you know? Like I mean it's worth coming up with a solution to, but it's also like
especially because after the snap, that's 2023.
Maybe he got snapped.
maybe he gets 5 extra years for that one.
And Charles also has to get the 5 years. Then.
Right? Yeah, they both got to get snapped.
They should just they have to be the same age. Is all that really matters.
All
to me.
mutants got snapped.
So then I kind of just broke down who my X-Men team would be, like what my ideal team would be.
I'm curious.
So we've got Scott Summers, the protagonist, Cyclops. So now this is really important because the light that's within Scott, like this bright red energy, directly mirrors the lights that are shining all across the globe that we see with Cerebro, these new mutants. It's overwhelming, it's massively destructive, probably, but it's also this kind of beautiful, bright, like life force. And it's the question.
You could have a really great scene where like that is specifically.
I think that could be why Charles initially brings Scott down to the Cerebro to look at all these other mutants, because the question is, do we hide this light? Do we hate and fear it? Applause, please. Thank you. Or do we embrace it? And if we do, what does that make us? Does that make us like Magneto? How do you embrace that without, going too far? Are we heroes, monsters, or something new?
Right.
So at first, Scott is terrified of his mutation. He just wants to be normal, but he can't be anymore. Every moment of his life, he's constantly aware of his mutation because his vision is forever red-tinted, even when he's wearing the goggles, obviously. He has it in him to become a leader, but right now he'd rather shut his eyes and hide.
Oh.
Then we've got Jean Grey. I think we might as well use the name Marvel Girl, because why not?
Yeah,
She needs a superhero name.
Right.
And
You can't call her Phoenix yet.
nope.
Nor should you.
It would be interesting if they did.
Right? It'd be really weird.
Yeah, but so she's one of the professor's best students, maybe the best student. It's not a huge pool at the start. Anyway, but Jean is a powerful telepath and telekinetic who's been at the school at least a year. Her power level has the potential to far exceed the professor's. I think one smart thing that the Bryan Singer movies did was have the power be inside her to a certain extent.
Right.
Like, I think that the cosmic Phoenix Force is cool and I like it, but character-wise, it's probably more interesting if that's coming from inside of her instead of possession, you know?
You could have it be that she's wildly powerful. Like, there's arcs where she is like, she's not tapping into her full potential at all.
Yeah.
And I feel like it would be interesting to where, like, she's very powerful, but she's only utilizing like 40 to 50%.
Exactly.
And so the Phoenix Force, like, if she comes, it's like Wanda with the Mind Stone. Like, she's exposed to the Phoenix Force, and that just like turns everything on.
Yeah.
I agree that it could. I mean, the possession story is cool, but it would be interesting to explore it in a different light.
I even like the X-Men 3 thing of, and I'm sure it's probably a comics thing, but I'm not 100% sure if it is, of Charles putting mental blocks on Jean without her knowing about it.
Yeah.
To obscure. I think that's great, because that's classic, like, Professor X moral ambiguity.
And it establishes, like, you can establish a thing in their relationship to where she knows to some extent that she's not being taught all of the stuff that he can teach her.
Well, and also if the professor's whole thing to Scott is you need to embrace your light and like see that it's something beautiful, the fact that he's actively shutting down hers,
yeah, I love that.
He's a hypocrite.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's Jean. She wants to help everyone, she human and mutant alike. She's probably the most like genuinely heroic out of all of them, just right at the start.
You're giving her so much more depth than the Fox movies ever did.
I'd really like to.
Yeah.
Because she's a really cool character, and like she's one of the founding like female characters in the Marvel universe. Right. And I want her to have something to do. And
she has the one of the probably like the top 3 most iconic storylines in Marvel Comics.
Yeah.
Dark Phoenix. Yeah.
And she's also probably the only character at first, besides the professor, who sees the potential that Scott has.
Oh yeah.
I would say.
Do you do the romance?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but you do it like a young
you don't have to
teen,
do it.
like you do it like a young teen kind of romancing that's happening. It's not the central thing.
Right. You don't even have to. You don't even have to touch on it in the first movie. You have unlimited movies.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. You don't have to like do everything right at the start. Then you've got.
You could do a WandaVision called Jean Scott.
Scott Jeans.
Scotch jeans.
Gray Summers.
Ooh, yeah. That's kind of fun. It's the really like Merchant Ivory, like British.
It's my new
British
hygiene
romance.
Product.
Yeah. That's the cologne you wear. Gray Summers.
Yeah. So then the third member of this new X-Men team, Hank McCoy, Beast.
Woo.
I think that Hank, since we've already seen Hank's whole transformation thing, we've seen it done well. I think that he's been also at the school for about a year. He's the other member of this team who's already there.
So still late teens?
Yeah, late teens. Okay. A few months ago, he attempted to cure himself of his mutation and inadvertently made it far more extreme. So he's already got the blue fur when we start out.
Sick.
I think it could even be cool if we see him like leaving his lab, like when Scott's being walked through the school and we see that it's just like a fucking mess in there. Like things like just like shattered glass and shit.
Right.
I think you could give a little bit of a horror element to him at first, because
it's kind of like there's a flavor, there's a Jekyll and Hyde flavor, not that he changes, but like that he feels like he's some kind of Hyde.
Yeah, and I think if we play up characters viewing him that way at first, like seeing him as like a holy shit, what is that? Like,
right.
I think that's how you
can
get
have a cool conflict between Scott and Beast.
Because as long as Scott hates his own mutation, he would agree with Beast and make him worse.
That could be really great comedy, is like them talking about how, like, dude, you're disgusting. Like,
or even just like Scott being like, I have to like wear these glasses all the time. And Beast just being like, what? Crazy.
Tell me. Absurd.
Insane.
Or we could give him a Dr. Fives mask.
Yeah, give him we just did an episode of Ghoul School about a wonderful movie named Dr. Fives where Vincent Price wears a Vincent Price mask.
Right, yes. Go check out Ghoul School.
But anyway, so he's a genius level intellect who I think I want him to be a little bit smarter than he's been in other X-Men movies.
Yeah, we got to touch on how smart he
I
is.
think that he's the one who really perfected Cerebro, at least at the point that it is at right now.
That's interesting. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, to be a lot more effective and far-reaching and all that. He also wants nothing to do with his mutation. He wants to be normal, blah, blah, blah. Then we've got, and I wonder if you already knew that this was this character's full name because I love it, Angel, a.k.a. Warren Worthington III.
Yes. Yeah. I remember Ben Foster got so sadly underutilized, but I remember his name being so absurd because his dad is like a politician.
And it's amazing to me that that's what they kept.
Right.
Was his name being Warren Worthington III. So he's the son of a billionaire or a politician, whatever. And I think in this, it should be a rich guy, definitely, who he's the son of. And he won't let you forget it. He drives an extremely expensive car, even though he has wings.
Yep. Fly wherever he wanted to,
Yeah.
but he decided to take the car.
But that's also a visual thing of he's in denial about the state of that his life is in. He actually has been cut off by his father because of his mutation. His father has no idea that he's even there. He actually stole the car when he left home, which is something that he hasn't told anyone. But...
I'm just picturing Bird Person from Rick and Morty. Don't be gross, Tammy.
But he stole that car and he hasn't told anyone any of this except for the professor. But he'll tell his new friends when they're on some kind of, fun trip in the middle of the night, breaking curfew to go to a carnival, whatever, that sort of thing.
Love that.
So then we've got two more members left of this team.
Jubilee.
We got Bobby Drake, Iceman.
Okay, good.
He's the youngest member of the team. He's a laid-back Joker. Thinks his powers are incredibly cool. I just realized that I did that. Don't applaud that. Don't do it. I also say cool again in here. Oh man. And he's also gay, which is a thing in the comics.
Oh, yeah.
But
great.
I think it's important to highlight that because if mutants are an allegory for anybody, it shouldn't all just be straight white dudes.
Yeah, straight guys.
So he loves the idea of becoming a superhero. He's probably the first one who's fully on board with it. Next to like Jean.
Yeah.
And he thinks it's absurd that Warren drives a car.
Yeah, no, I love that. That's great comedy. Yeah.
And then we've got the final member of this team, which I think is really important.
Jubilee?
Yes, it's Jubilee.
Yes!
No, it's not Jubilee. It's not Jubilee. But I kind of want to hear your thoughts on this because this is the only member of this X-Men team who isn't from the actual first class from the comics.
Great. Yeah.
Aurora Monroe Storm.
Oh, okay.
I think so. And here's my kind of rough idea of Storm's story here. So as a child, and this is pulled from the comics pretty much.
I was going to ask if you're going to tie her to Wakanda.
Good question. So as a child, Aurora was a pickpocket in Cairo. I think that's cool. I think we can delve into that in the future.
I thought that was an interesting element of X-Men Apocalypse.
Yeah, and she has like a really cool backstory with like this character called I think it's like the Shadow King or something, who was like mind controlling her. I don't know. It's cool. But she then traveled to the Serengeti where she lived in a small village for about 4 years, I would say.
Okay.
This is where she developed her powers, and she develops them during the dawn of X. So does Iceman and
great.
Angel, I think, I would say. So she develops her powers and becomes kind of like a resident goddess for like the village, bringing rain where there should only be drought, that sort of thing. It's pretty common for her.
Right.
She views her powers as a gift and a responsibility. And this strength of purpose actually makes it more difficult for her to exist in a team dynamic where you sometimes have to make compromises for like the good of the group. She's just not able to do that.
Yeah, I like the idea that she's kind of saintly and has this sort of ethereal purpose.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
And she's also, I mean, eventually she'll probably be the leader of this team, like overall, but not right now. I also think that her recruitment would be a cool spot for a Nakia cameo from Black Panther.
Yeah,
we haven't seen her
awesome.
since the first Black Panther movie. And I think it makes sense for her to like know about this kind of thing happening because she's like, from what we've seen of her, she's like an agent who's like going around and like investigating this stuff. And I think it would make sense for her to accompany the professor when he goes to recruit her to make sure he doesn't like try anything. I think that would make sense for her to just be like a chaperone almost.
So you would recruit, it's like she wouldn't already be there.
No, I think Storm gets recruited.
Okay.
I don't think we need to see Bobby get recruited because he just can show up and be
Yeah,
like, hey, it's me.
Like the way you described him, it sounds like he's like the office funny guy,
Exactly.
you know?
Yeah.
You could have a really great action sequence in recruiting Storm. Also,
yeah. You could do a lot of things with that.
Yeah.
And so just the last kind of bit of notes that I had on this is that overall, the Mutants Dawn of X will follow Scott, Jean, Hank, Warren, Aurora, and Bobby as they learn and adapt to their new lives together, forming a family, as these movies always like to do.
You're doing the Fast and Furious thing.
Yeah, it's all about
family.
the familia.
It's about family.
That's strong enough to not only face a world that face and fears them. Yeah. but also to save it. And our antagonists are Magneto's Brotherhood, and also, since you always have to have human bad guys in this to show that it's not just mutants fighting each other, Mutant Hunting Sentinel Project, Boulevard Trask. Start that up.
I imagine you just seed it because you bring that in kind of
the initial of the Sentinel thing.
Now,
I think that there's some kind of government thing going on in response to this.
Right.
But I don't know. I don't know what Magneto's big Magneto plan should be in this. I think that's a lot of the fun of it.
Right.
Should it be like a lifting the White House off the ground or whatever, or should it be like something else?
I don't think so. I wonder. I feel like it would be more interesting, and it's something that we haven't seen before, if we were to do something with Magneto where he's not trying to attack the government yet, but he is trying to make some form of a statement.
Okay.
And I don't know necessarily what that would be.
I wonder. What could be interesting is if he's like.
I feel like that's where you get your tie-in to the rest of the MCU is with what is Magneto trying to do. Yeah.
I think it'd be interesting if he knew about some kind of program like the Sentinels being formed or something like that, and then almost instigated it into. Well, that's kind of what Days of Future Past is about, isn't it?
Yeah. He tries to kill Richard Nixon.
Well, that's the big question, I feel. But overall, it's exploring this question of is this new light that's entered this universe going to be a beacon, or is it going to burn the whole place down? Mm-hmm. And I think that makes Scott the perfect protagonist for it.
Yeah, no, for sure. I also think that Scott is the sort of quintessential X-Men, sort of everyman. That's the viewpoint character.
Yeah.
You know what I love about this pitch the most?
What?
I wonder if you can guess.
No Wolverine?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I think if you introduce Wolverine as... there's actually really cool ideas in X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Yeah.
In that he's old as shit. He's 160 years old.
No, for sure.
I think there's rumors about... So Chris Evans is coming back as Captain America in some form of project movie in the, next 5 years or so.
Could he liberate a concentration camp with World War II Wolverine?
I will... the rumor is that he is... it's a movie with him and Wolverine.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That would be so cool.
Because he's Weapon 1
yeah.
and Wolverine is Weapon X. And you team them up. I wonder if it's in the alternate universe where he grows old with Peggy Carter.
That would be really interesting. But then you'd have to... I guess Wolverine wouldn't remember it anyway.
You'd also have to get Wolverine over to our universe.
But there's a story that I read at some point in the distant past. I don't remember where I read it, but it's a story of World War II era Captain America and Logan freeing liberating a concentration camp where a young Magneto is being held.
I think that's a great. Do you have now? I guess he would have the metal claws at this point.
No, he wouldn't. I don't think. Right? He'd have the bone claws because when he gets the metal is when he loses his memory. And I think that's post World War II.
But the connection between Captain America and Wolverine is Weapon 1 and Weapon X.
Yeah.
So I guess Weapon X is Weapon X him getting.
That's him getting the. But also, there's another connection in the comics, and this isn't always true, but a lot of the time, Logan was kind of a member of the Howling Commandos.
Yes,
he was one of the soldiers during that time. So I think that's reason enough for him to be around.
But I think, and this is not a conversation about Captain America and Wolverine, but I do think it could be. We can make it about that. I do think the way, if you're gonna have to, if we're reintroducing Chris Evans as Cap again, which I'm all down for. I think he has a great ending in Endgame, but I'm always down for Chris Evans as Cap. The movie to make is him and Wolverine.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Also, eventually, and it makes me sad that we're never going to get this because it just doesn't make sense for Cap to be present for it. But there's a great dynamic between Logan, Cap, and Deadpool
Oh,
That
yeah.
is like my favorite thing, but would never see that.
Well, Ryan Reynolds is doing an MCU Deadpool movie that will be rated R.
Hell yeah.
And-
Do we know that it's rated R?
Yes, Kevin
That's
Feige.
awesome.
Kevin Feige himself confirmed that it's rated R. And so I don't know how that's going to tie into anything at all.
I hope
That's-
it's. I made a video a while ago that was about that I think Deadpool 3 should be a road trip movie, and it's a road trip movie through the multiverse of Deadpool trying to get to the
Getting
MCU
to the
to get
MCU.
away from the Fox movies.
You know what I think would be really funny is
Yeah.
if the first one is rated R and all of the subsequent Deadpool movies are PG-13 because
Yeah.
when he arrives in the MCU he suddenly starts getting bleeped.
He's no longer able to curse,
He can't
and he's
curse
like not able
anymore.
to like murder people brutally anymore.
Right.
That's really funny. Yeah.
And
no,
it would be
that's
something
great.
he could have so much self-awareness of like he tries to curse but it just like won't come out.
Yeah, I think either getting bleeped or his word just shifting, like in WandaVision when the hex goes over Darcy and she's saying fudge. I think that's cool.
So eventually he just gives up and stops trying to do it.
Man, and we're not going to get big into this because we already just did a whole X-Men thing. But if you took Deadpool on a road trip through the multiverse owned by Disney, he could go anywhere. He could go
end up in Snow White.
He could. That was exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Was he could become friends with Goofy. He could do Kingdom Hearts.
Can you imagine a Goofy movie with Deadpool?
Yeah,
Oh.
Goofy and Donald become friends with.
They're just yucking it up.
Yeah, and I mean it's a way to do like an homage to classic Blade, like Wesley Snipes'
Right,
Blade or
yeah.
any of that stuff.
You know what I heard? Here's another piece of news. This was,
Yeah.
I think, from yesterday. According to, I think it was the writer on the project,
Mm-hmm.
the Blade movie is supposed to come out in November of 2022.
Really? That's so soon.
Yeah, like that's like a year. I mean, that means they're probably shooting starting in like July, I bet.
Wow.
That's crazy. But you
That's
know
awesome,
what? Everything is like the stage has been set for vampires now.
Yeah.
WandaVision set that up.
Yeah.
That's the thing. People saying that WandaVision didn't set anything up. You got the Darkhold. Now you can do
Yeah,
anything.
they set up all dark magic.
Moon Knight is coming.
Moon Knight.
That's my favorite comic frame ever. Is Moon Knight coming down the stairs and be like, "Where are you, Dracula?
Dracula,
give me,
you
give me
bitch."
my money, you piece of shit."
God, I wish that was real.
Now, so where does this movie end?
I think you have to end up with an established X-Men team and an established Brotherhood.
Okay.
I don't think you turn Rogue good in the first one.
Okay.
I think that's maybe a second movie thing.
I'm interested in the Rogue being bad
Yeah.
angle. I like that.
Because that's a lot of her history at first was that. And since we don't have Scarlet Witch or Quicksilver, you kind of have to... She's the only one left, really.
Right, to be. Yeah.
But I think you end up... If this is a trilogy, I think you end up with Krakoa. I think you end up with the Mutant Nation.
Yeah. At the end of the entire trilogy.
I think that's where we get to. Either at the end of the entire trilogy or maybe that's the third movie. I don't know. But I think the X-Men will be appearing enough in other things also in between these movies. It'll be like a Doctor Strange thing where he's only got one movie, but
He's in everything else.
super developed because he's been through like 7 movies that aren't his.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think eventually Endgame we get to Krakoa.
So another note on Falcon Winter Soldier. I feel like it's probably gonna introduce some version of the Thunderbolts.
I hope so.
I don't think you'll get Red Hulk.
No.
However, I do think you have all of the pieces on the table to do a cool Thunderbolts because you have Winter Soldier, Ghost is out there somewhere from
Yeah.
Ant-Man 2.
Oh yeah.
You've got Batroc the Leaper.
Hell yeah.
You've got Zemo. Zemo's
Yeah.
been in the Thunderbolts, and you got if you just had Thunderbolt Ross being like the guy who's sending them,
And you've got your Hawkeye or whatever who could lead them.
Yeah.
And I
Which would be
and
really-
Deadpool coming in.
which would be really cool if you have like Kate Bishop Hawkeye goes and is an Avengers member, and then you get
And
Jeremy
Clint
Renner.
is okay. We got to do another episode during a week when there's not anything else going on.
Yeah.
We got to do a Thunderbolts
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Concept episode.
I bet we'll have the chance to do that after Falcon and Winter Soldier. Thank you for listening to
Yeah.
Comic Breakers this week. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment. Let us know what you think about our X-Men plan and what you. Who's your favorite Batroc?
Who's your favorite Redwing? 1, 2, or 3?
1, 2, or 3?
I mean, they're all dead as fuck.
which
but
one
which one's your
died
favorite?
first? Which
Just
one did you think died first?
When you're watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier, just remember that the Redwing that you know is dead, and that this Redwing is a new Redwing who has none of the memories of the previous Redwing.
I love it.
Rip Redwing.
Rip
See you
Redwing.
guys. See you guys
next
week.
week.